Morning, everybody. I have been sitting here and I have been reading all these comments from my article yesterday, and I now see that I have mascara on my eyeball. Oh well, deal with it, right? No, I was reading all these comments from my article yesterday that I wrote about sex and intimacy and what intimacy really is and what it is not. I've been responding back this morning while I have time, trying to just, connect with people and everything. And one woman on one of the threads, because the article got shared like 40 times. Hey, morning, Richard. But one woman made a comment about, how can men not understand what intimacy really is? How can men not understand that when a woman asks for intimacy, that she's not asking for more sex? She's asking for connection. She's asking for, time, for a listening ear, for a touch that is not sexual. Women need that, and men need that too, over and over again. I've worked with thousands of people at this time, just like over the course of the last 12 years or so. And if I take into my whole coaching career, it's really thousands. But over the last 12 years, for sure, I have definitely worked with probably, I can't count how many couples and how many men have come into my practice and shared with me how deeply they want intimacy, how deeply, hey, morning, Addison, hey, how deeply they want connection, and they're just missing touch, that they're really wanting that. And then quickly that touch goes to, I want the touch, I want the snuggle, I want the caressing, I want the holding. And men will tell me over and over again, I really don't need the sex. I don't need the sex. Matter of fact, I would go sex free as long as I could just have the touch, and I could have, like this, because I'm just lacking all of that. So when they get completely touch deprived, men tend to go, okay, I really need this. But then they get just a drop of the touch, fed, and instantaneously it goes back to, all right, now I need some sex. Now, I am not slamming sex. I love sex just like hopefully everybody else does. I've definitely had times in my life when I did not love sex, when I did not enjoy sex, when I was just like, don't touch me with a 10-foot pole when it comes to sex. And then I have other times in my life where I can't get enough, that I'm so into my partner and I'm so in love with them as a person and so connected and feeling it from here, that I just want to experience and express every version of our relationship together at deep intimacy and vulnerability. I just want to surrender to that, to my lover in those moments. So on this whole thing of intimacy and sex and connection, as I was typing up a response to this woman, I was talking about the polarities of men and women, and that we really are coming at our sex, at intimacy, at love, at relationship from two completely different poles of being. Okay, so for sake of conscious coffee time frame, and not to teach a whole class via conscious coffee here, because I could really get into a class on this, and anybody who is local or catches my classes online, this is some of the stuff that I do talk on more in depth than what we're going to get into here. But in that polarity, the basics is, and this goes back to I'm like having this conversation in my head, and Addison's familiar with this. I talk a lot when I'm talking to women about empowerment and different stuff, and just like my whole learning experience around sex. Decade or so ago, there was a time when I was dating. I had 11 boyfriends, and I was dating 11 mostly amazing men, I would say. And this one man that I was playing with, we actually never had sex. We never had like penetrative sex. Amazing attorney in the local area, and he was the guy that got away. He's still just like, I see pictures, we're still friends on Facebook and stuff, and I see pictures of him and everything. I'm just like, man, he was a really awesome guy. Sweetheart, just great conversation. But I remember in some of our very first email exchanges that him and I had, we were talking about sex, and we had been out like on a date and was being flirty and everything. And I remember writing him a book on what sex was like for us women. And I made the point to him, I was like, and here's the point on polarities, okay? So guys, if you're listening, here it goes. Sex happens inside a woman's body, okay? It happens inside of a woman's body. Everything is internalized for us women. We feel at a different sensory because we are the ones who are actually being penetrated. Now that may seem like, well, what's the big deal about that? Well, imagine a foreign object of whatever size it might be entering your body forcefully most of the time, and then moving back and forth, and you have no control over it. You have absolutely no ability to do anything with it, and it is inside of you and it is moving, and you have to, and it is also going to a space that, although there are a lot of nerve endings, there are a lot of great sensory in that space, there's also a lot of space that doesn't have a lot of nerve endings, which would be that vaginal canal. So for a woman, when sex is happening inside of our body, a lot of guys are like, I want her to, like, why won't women watch the sex happening and, make eye contact? And, tantric sex, we do make eye contact. In tantric sex, we talk about making eye contact and connecting with our partners, and even remaining in eye contact during orgasm. And those are big, beautiful moments that they happen. But prior and in between those moments of eye contact, a woman, most women, when operating in the divine feminine energy, so a woman actually being a woman, not a guy stuck in a woman's body, because a lot of women today are men stuck in women's bodies, and they're trying to operate in the masculine, which is a whole nother topic, which really breaks down intimacy, which really kills the polarities and causes a lot of havoc in our relationship anyway. But when a woman is in her feminine, when she is in the sensual divine state, and she is open and she is flowing, and she is in this state where she can completely just breathe into that space of her feeling, of her pleasure, of her orgasm, which is dropping down and surrendering to her own orgasm, she has to close her eyes and go internal to try to connect to the foreign object that is penetrating her body, whether that is a toy, fingers, or a genital of her partner, okay? She is going in, she's trying to connect. She's also in that moment of connection to the foreign object, trying to actually connect to her body, to feel her body. It is called embodiment, okay? And to embody ourselves means that we have to bring consciousness, okay? Consciousness, and with our consciousness comes feeling, sensory, blood flow, to whatever area that we are focusing in on. So instead of the visual stimulation, women have to go internal to actually feel, to embody themselves. If a woman cannot embody herself, she's not going to actually experience any amazing orgasm. She may feel like a woo moment, and that's about it. That was it. Did you feel the like woo, like that? Didn't that feel exciting to you? Can't you just tell, like in my vocalization there, that wow, that was a great big turn on, that was a whole lot, right? Wasn't, right? It wasn't. And that's about as much as a woman's going to get if she doesn't embody herself. She'll get this, but she's never going to get fulfilled. She's never going to be able to actually tap in and surrender to her orgasm, okay? So she has to embody herself. In order for her to embody herself, some things have to happen here. Number one, just understand that she needs to embody herself. She needs to get out of her head. She needs to be able to relax into her body. If a woman is in her head, if she is, having different things, if she's like being told, oh, let's have some sexy talk, like that, anything that pulls, or what are you feeling right now, asking of questions and all that kind of stuff. If you are bringing a woman back into her head space and making her answer questions or do different things, then you're pulling her out of her body, and you're pulling her away from her ability to actually feel you and feel herself also surrender to her orgasm. In order for this to happen, to get out of a woman's head, she has to be able to, number one, trust herself. Number two, trust you, which means this is where surrender comes in. Surrender will not ever happen if we do not trust the moment, ourselves, and our partner. So what does it take to get a woman to trust you, right? Well, in order to get a woman to trust you, You, number one, need to be trustworthy. Trustworthy does not mean that you're always telling the truth. It doesn't mean that you are completely transparent. It doesn't even mean that you're 100% authentic. Trustworthy just simply means that you can hold space, that you're not going to go and do some wild ass crazy shit without permission and cross over boundaries. It doesn't mean that you are just going after her for her sex. It means that you've taken the freaking time to actually connect. And that is where intimacy comes in. Connection, which means that you get her to feel that you're there not just to penetrate her physically, not just to get your quick fix and use her as a masturbation tool, but to actually connect with her. That you're actually there because you want to be there and to connect and to feel and to bring pleasure to both of you, okay? A woman has to feel like that to be able to drop down. If she feels that she's just your masturbation tool, there's always going to be a wall up. There's never going to be full surrender. She's never going to be able to be vulnerable. She's never going to be able to tap into her sex, into her pleasure at the depths that most men want the woman to. Even if it's a one-night stand, it is my understanding that the majority of men get a level of really great pleasure from being the man, like the man who can deliver, right? The man who is like, yeah, I know how to sex so great. And I've heard this from lots of different men in multiple different ways. You know, like guys will tell me, well, I'm really good at sex and I really know how to give my woman, you know, multiple orgasms. I know all of her. And I laugh at him because if your woman's always having an orgasm, then she's probably lying to you, because no woman has an orgasm every single time, okay? It just doesn't happen. And there's lots of different things that's just because we're up in our heads just as much as anything, right? So there's just sometimes it just doesn't happen. Now, we can feel great pleasure in it, but if you are a guy and you pride yourself in knowing how to read a woman's body, and you pride yourself in really being good in bed and having great skills and being conscious and really knowing how to penetrate her, not just physically, but really getting into her head space and her heart space, and like really all the way down to her core. And you're very confident in who you are. You feel yourself. Like you can bring your consciousness, as I refer to it as cock consciousness. Like you can be present in your genitals at a level that it's going to make you feel so much more to her than what you might actually physically be. When you talk about filling up a woman in any aspect, you know, or fully satisfying her in different ways, because a lot of guys are worried about their size, right? And I always go, it's not about the size, it's about your presence. It's about what you do with it. Like if you just think that it's just about just jabbing stuff in there and moving back and forth, you don't know nothing about nothing, okay? It's just like you just don't. So for guys, if you do pride yourself in that kind of stuff and you get pleasure from seeing a woman have an orgasm, like you love watching her O face, you love watching her body move, you love the juiciness that a woman can bring on, the openness, then guess what? Then what you're wanting is you're wanting her surrender. You're wanting her surrender. A lot of women have learned how to fake a level of surrender. A lot of women have learned how to fake their orgasm, their climax. But when a woman is not faking, there's things that she can't fake. There's things that the body just does that can't be faked. There's the quivering. There's a change of color on our skin. There's a change of, so much going on. Hey, morning, Michael. There's so much that goes on with that. And when a woman is not in that faking level, guess what? She is out of her head and she's in her body. But that is because you've done the work as her partner. You've done the work to get her out of her head. Now, guys, totally opposite. You men, sex happens outside your body. Now remember, sex happens inside a woman's body, right? It's about us embodying ourselves. Men, you have sex happening outside your body, okay? Your genitals are outside your body. Your pleasure tools are outside your body. Us women, everything's inside. Men, everything's outside. And with that, men are visual. Men are visually stimulated. You guys get up into your headspace. A woman has to get out of her head. A man gets into his head. He is seeing, he is fantasizing, he is visualizing. He's all about the sensory outside of his body. He has a show happening outside. A woman is not going to go for the show. She is going for the feeling, the sensory, okay? And a man wants to see. He wants to see the expressions. He wants to see the color changes. He wants to feel the difference in temperature, the difference in dryness and wetness and what's going on, how her hair is, how her eyes are, her mouth, her shoulders, her stomach, eye dilation, lower lip expression. Yes, thank you, Michael. Thank you. Like, add in there for me. So all this stuff, like, guys are into that. That's why guys are like the ones that are going to choose all these positions. And typically, it's guys that are going to bring in the adventure, the play, because they are visually stimulated. They are into the fantasy. And as women, we are the ones who surrender. We are the ones who open up. We are the receiver, and they are the giver in this aspect, okay? Although both parties give and both parties receive, but physically and actually from a very energetic level, that is the kind of exchange that is going on there, okay? Sex to the masculine is a completely different sensory than sex to the feminine. Now, a man who has cock consciousness, a man who is conscious and present and confident, who wants to learn his woman, who wants to experience deeper, better sex. Guess what he does? He brings his consciousness to his cock, and he understands that in the presence of his body, he can actually penetrate her deeper. He can bring her more connection to herself, because she's going to feel him. I've never met a woman that hasn't said, yeah, I can feel when my man leaves me during sex. I can tell when he's off so caught up in fantasy and he's actually having sex with some movie star or some chick that he saw in the street or somebody at work, or he's caught up in bills or stressors at work, when he's just like, he's not here, he's not with me. Women can feel that. And the reason why we can feel that is because when you guys go and you start thinking about other things and start fantasizing, your cocks actually change. And even though our vaginal canals don't have a massive amount of nerves on the actual canal part, guess what? We do still sense and actually physically feel the changes in your body, the changes in your presence level with us. So, polarities are completely different. Sex happens on the outside of a man's body. Sex happens on the inside of a woman's body. A woman has to embody herself and feel to be able to surrender. And trust comes into that, right? A man, on the other hand, his pleasure is heightened by his visual sensory, by his mental sensory, and also by his sensory tool, his number one sensory tool, right? His number one sensory tool. And he is feeling on the outside of that. Where a woman is feeling on the inside, a man is feeling on the outside. Everything is complete and total opposites. It is a perfect yin-yang expression of intimacy. Now, on that note, intimacy. Yesterday, the topic of intimacy in that article that I wrote. Intimacy, and if a man is truly wanting, to have a woman surrender to him, to have a woman really open up to him, he has to come back to intimacy. And we're not talking about intimacy of the bedroom. We're talking about intimacy in the rest of life. We're talking about, courting throughout the day. Foreplay is a 24/7 thing. It is not just all right, 5 minutes before we get it on, we have some foreplay. Okay, foreplay is not just a rubbing of genitals or squeezing of breasts or a little bit of hair pulling and 2 seconds of kissing. Foreplay is about, hey, honey, how was your day? It's about kissing her when you first see her. It's about touching at different opportunities, and not sexual touching, but just a hand holding. It's about, placing your hand on her leg and giving her knee a little bit of a squeeze. It's about slowing down and not looking at your fucking phone and looking her in the eyes and just smiling. That's intimacy. That's foreplay. Asking her different things, inquiry, legitimate connection time where she knows that she is valuable to you outside of the bedroom, that she is not just a sex toy, that you are actually with her because you are into her as a human being, not just, oh, I can get off every morning here and there, or whatever it might be, because I know that that's what a lot of women feel. And when we feel that way, we disconnect. And once we start disconnecting in that category, guess what? Then all of a sudden, we're not into you anymore. We're just not. And when some guy comes along and gives us some intimacy that is not sexual, we get aroused, we get turned on, we get excited, we start to get glowy and giddy and like a schoolgirl, okay? And it's because we're getting intimacy from the way that we need, and we'll get it from any different source. Thank you, Michael. Hope you have a great day too. So, polarities. We're never going to understand each other because, guys, even if you're into anal on yourself, you still don't understand, because anal is a completely different ball game than vaginal. And not to mention, men emotionalize things completely different than women do. Our internal structures, mentally, physically, sexually, emotionally, are opposites. So there's no way that we are ever going to understand the opposite sex 100%. But what we can do is that we can try to take wisdom that others have shared with us, this video, and articles. We can take things and we can apply them. We can slow the fuck down in our sex, in our relating. We can bring communication to the table. We can actually get away from the things that, the ideas that our partners, and guys, you're guilty of this one too, and I'm going to hit this really quick. A lot of men, and I made this comment to somebody earlier today, a lot of men do come in and I say, well, where did you learn some of the stuff that you've learned? Because guys will be like, oh, I'm so good in the bedroom, and I know this, and I know that. I'll say, well, where did you learn that from? Like, where? And they'll say, porn. I learned that on porn. Okay, your woman is not a porn star. She will never be a porn star. Porn stars aren't porn stars in their own bedrooms, okay? In their own private lives, porn stars aren't porn stars. They may have more openness and more understanding and more, more experiential stuff going on, but they're not going to want the sex that they show on camera, which is for your men's visual stimulation that we just talked about there, for that turn on. But that is not actual sex. That is not real sex. That is not good sex. That is not true sex. And that is never, ever how you're going to rock your woman's world, by thinking that she's a porn star, that you should be doing the things that you see in porn. You can get some creative ideas. Yes, here and there. You can fantasy play a little bit. You can get a little bit of that. But if you are using porn for education, you are so far off. It is not even funny. 99.99999% of women are fuck no to porn sex. Okay? Can be okay to watch, can be okay to have a little bit of adventures and get some ideas, but it is not education. It is not real sex. Okay? It is disconnected. It is extremely disconnected. And it puts both people as nothing more than sex objects, masturbation tools, okay? And it does not have intimacy in it. Therefore, there's no trust. Therefore, there's no love. Therefore, there's no true connection. And there's no true satisfaction. And you're never going to experience gourmet sex. Never, ever, ever will you experience gourmet sex when you're going down the porn route or the desire for that. So, if you were thinking that your woman should be more like a porn star, think again. And ladies, if you watch this somewhere in the replay or whatever, because people are popping on and off, give me a little bit of love there on that one, because I know that a lot of women are like, no. And you know what? Some wild and crazy sex, it's great. It's great to jazz it up every now and then. It's great to have these little, spots where you go and do something a little bit wild and crazy and adventurous, but everyday sex, everyday connection, and for when you are in a relationship with somebody and wanting to build intimacy, it's not about porn. It's not about pushing the boundaries all the time and trying to have all that. It's about going deep right here with somebody and actually feeling them, not from the physical level, but from the heart level, from the emotional level, and really getting into them as a person. If you do that, all the opposite stuff that we share, and just to have that compassion, that to understand that a woman is a woman and a man is a man, and we are never ever going to get each other at any level, but we can have compassion and we can listen to the requests, the needs and desires of our partners. Both sides here, we can listen to our partner and we can talk about sex with the person that we're having sex with, and we can discuss what are we good with and what are we not good with? What am I feel safe with and what do I not feel safe with? What turns me on? What doesn't turn me on? Have those conversations with the person that you're actually having sex with, and watch out. Your sex will get really good. It really will. And remember to slow the fuck down. Slow down, slow down, slow down. Take your time. If your sex is only 5 to 15 minutes, you are having fast food sex. And that will never satisfy either side, not in the long run. Hey, on that note, Michael Harris that you saw pop on into the comment section here earlier, him and I are teaching a class on Saturday because it is now, it is October 1st, so happy October, everybody. Happy official fall, my favorite season, well, one of my favorite seasons. I love all the seasons. But I do love fall. October is National Kink Month. So anybody who is local to the Dallas-Fort Worth area or can get your butts here, make sure that you check out Get Naughty, because Get Naughty is in town. We are doing Get Naughty on this Saturday down in Dallas. And it is 50 Shades of Grey inspired workshop, all on learning about bondage, on learning about ropes. And Michael Harris has a beautiful rope meditation that he does. He's going to teach all the safety about ropes. He's going to teach how to tie different knots. We're going to go through a whole bunch of different things. It's a 3-hour workshop that is beautiful, intensive. It's our 4th year teaching this workshop together. And I do encourage even the most vanilla of people to make it out to this, because it will give you a beautiful lesson and beautiful experience. I mean, it's a great just afternoon playful date for couples, if not anything else, where you're going to walk away with some new tools, some new communications, and adventure. And it is all, well, it's PG-13. We'll call it PG-13 because we do use some words and stuff. But it is just a beautiful learning experience that can help you expand your sexual arena container a little bit. It is open to couples, it is open to singles, and we have a couple spots still left. So make sure that you click on the link in the comment section if you're in the Dallas-Fort Worth area and you would like to get your kink on, or explore kink, or just get some questions met, or just have an adventure fun Saturday with Dr. Michael Harris and I at this year's bondage workshop, Get Naughty. So other than that, if I have touched anything here that has made you go, yeah, what she said, please click the share button and help me get this message out there to everybody that needs to hear it. Guys need to hear this. Women need to hear it. And this is, and the number one, there's 2 things that affect our relationships: sex and money. Those are the 2 things that break us up. Those are the 2 things that cause the most toxicity in our relationships. Those are the 2 things that really cause the container of relationship to fall apart. Well, not talking finance today, I'm talking sex today. And sex is built on intimacy, on trust, and on compassion of other people being human beings, that other person being your partner or potential partner being a human being. So if I have said anything in this Conscious Coffee that's made you go, yeah, I'm kind of sick and tired of relating like this, I really would like to have some fulfilling gourmet sex, some connection, I would like to learn more. Number 1, share this Conscious Coffee. Number 2, reach out to me for some private coaching or asking me about some of the beautiful home study courses that I have on this very topic. Guys, I have courses just for you that will teach you about intimacy, about how to relate to women, and give you a deeper understanding about what women are looking for and how you can become that conscious lover that does rock the bedroom, that does rock the woman. So make sure that you reach out to me about that. Ladies, you want support and learn how to call in a conscious lover like that, reach out to me about that too, because I've got stuff for you. I love you guys, and I will see you tomorrow with another Conscious Coffee. Bye, everybody. As always, stop existing, start living.